Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Joy Gym. One moment. Ah, well, hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to the Joy Gym Pacific time. We practice sense of joy in our lives. And you did hear me correctly. I did say mental exercise, like a physical exercise. Let's say you have some body change goal. You want to run a marathon, or maybe enter a powerlifting competition, or maybe get into cycling or get into Zumba. But you have some sort of body or physical workouts. Maybe if we're trying back, we do sit ups, crunches, abs, things like that. And we do let's say 3 to 4 times a week. And by doing those physical workouts on a consistent basis, we get to the point where our body naturally changes. We believe in the same concepts that can happen in our mind here at the Joy Gym, where we do a guided meditation and a guided breathing exercise. And through those consistent mental practices, we hope to strengthen our mind, to build more resilience in our mind, to make joy the default setting of our lives. And that's why we call it the Joy Gym. So the guided meditation, it actually and in today's meditation, I'm thinking we're going to do some grounding. Yes, get ourselves nice and centered. Is there anything else to note before we begin? Nah. Well, let's talk a bit about the exercise we're going to do today. So, like I said, in today's guided meditation, it'll all be around grounding. You can think of grounding almost like building a shelter, right? What do I mean by that? Let's say that it was raining, or it was like a fairly strong storm outside. If you had nowhere to go to keep safe, then you'd be in a little bit of trouble. You'd be getting very wet throughout the day. But let's say it starts raining and you suddenly go to try and build a shelter. It's a little bit more difficult when the wind and rain is blowing against your face. It'd be much easier to create a shelter when it's a nice, beautiful day outside. So then if the rain does come, all we have to do is go inside versus trying to build it out. Grounding works in a similar regard. We are going to train our attention, our awareness, to place it somewhere that isn't as heady. With grounding, we can shift our attention away to somewhere where we have a bit more resources to deal with these emotions. Mind you, this doesn't mean that we are promoting resisting the emotions like the stress or the fear. Rather, there are times where we know that we need a little bit more resources and capacity to help us better deal with them. And that's what grounding can do. It gives us the opportunity to build that shelter. So if our emotions are like weather, when it is a neutral or sunny day out, we work on strengthening these mental muscles with grounding. And then in times where, let's say, we have the equivalent of an emotional storm come through, where there can be some strong bouts of anger, fear, of anxiety. What Now that we've built our self shelter, we've strengthened our mental muscles with grounding. It can be a take place where we take refuge just to kind of wait out the storm, not to curse it, not to resist it or fight it, but simply allow it to pass. Because all emotions, no matter how strong, they have the same quality just like weather. They all arise, stay for a bit, and eventually pass away, no matter how strong they are. So, with all that being said, let me hit my sound bowl 3 times and let's jump into our guided meditation for the day. Well, hello, 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 everyone. And thank you so much for joining in today's guided meditation. Today, we will practice a grounding meditation. In this particular meditation, we are going to basically try placing our attention in three different areas to ground ourselves: the sensations we feel in our feet, the sensations we feel in our hands, and the sensations we feel as we're breathing. To begin this guided meditation, I'd like to invite you to find a comfortable position. You can be seated, standing, or lying down. Whatever position you choose, I'd like to invite for you to see if you can have your spine be erect, but not rigid or tight. You may close your eyes or lower your gaze if it is safe to do so, and if you feel safe doing so. To begin this guided meditation, I'd like to invite you to shift your attention to the sensations you feel at your feet. So we are placing our attention, our awareness on the sensations we feel in our body at our feet. Whenever you notice that your mind has wandered, I'd like to invite you to bring your attention back to the sensations you feel in your feet. It's okay. You're not failing if your mind wanders. You didn't do anything wrong. This practice of placing our attention at the sensations we feel in our feet, noticing when our mind has wandered, and bringing our attention back, is how we train our mental muscles. So, whenever you notice that your mind has wandered, you didn't do anything wrong. It actually is the purpose of the meditation. Because once we notice our mind has wandered and we bring our attention back, that's when we're practicing mindfulness. That's when we're getting stronger bit by bit. When you are ready, I'd like to invite you to shift your attention to the sensations you feel in your hands. This is very similar to the exercise we did with our feet. We are now just placing our attention on what we feel in our hands, and noticing whenever our mind wanders so we can bring our attention back. See if you can place exquisite attention on the sensations you feel at your hand. See if you can get really curious and potentially discover or notice sensations that you've never noticed before. And when you are ready, I'd like to invite you to shift your attention to any sounds that you hear. In the first two parts of the meditation, we focused on our sense of touch, on the sensations we felt in our hands and our feet. Now I'd like to invite you to place your attention on any sounds that you hear. We're now using our sense of hearing as our object of meditation. We are not trying to hear better or hear any harder. We are simply placing our attention on that which we hear, almost as if our ears were satellites and we're just picking up and noticing whatever they bring to our awareness. Excuse me. Can you notice the sounds farthest away from you? What about the sounds that are closest to you? When you are ready, I'd like to invite you to let go of this practice. When you are ready, you may slowly flutter your eyes open and look around the room to better ground yourself in the space that you are in. Today, we practiced grounding. We did that by training our brain to place its attention exactly where we wanted it to go. Here, we did that by placing our attention on the sensations we felt in our feet, and then the sensations we felt in our hand. And lastly, we placed our attention on any sounds that we heard. Whenever we are dealing with stressful, fearful, or anger-filled situation, grounding could be an effective technique to help center us, ground us, give us a sense of clarity in the situation. The beauty about these practices is that, for the most part, for in the most cases, for most people, they're not that difficult to do. So awareness is a natural element of being a human. However, the difficulty can come in remembering when to use it, especially when we are in the heat or in the midst of heated emotions. The whole point of these practices are to actually take it into what we do in our day-to-day lives. So before we close out, I'd like to invite you to think back to your session for the day. It's when you placed your attentions on your feet versus your attention on your hands versus on sounds. Out of those three, which one felt the best for you? Which one felt the most comfortable or at home? With whichever one you chose, I'd like to invite you to make that the meditation you practice with throughout this week. See if whenever you have free time or whenever you passing time, or if you are in or feeling difficult emotions in a moment, I'd like to invite you to take a step back and place your attention back on wherever spot felt most comfortable for you. It may be a bit difficult at first. We may forget too many times, but if we can slowly train our brain with these consistent exercise, we can hopefully build a new habit, which can help give us happier, healthier tools to deal with stress. There, for a large portion of my life, I felt like I didn't really have hope outside of chasing material like success or things, but I thought that would bring about happiness. Um, when in reality, my happiness muscles, quote unquote, were underdeveloped in almost any situation, no matter how much I succeeded or how much I failed. My brain was naturally conditioned to look for what sucked, to look for what I didn't like, and to feel it most intensely. And that's a large reason why the Joy Gym even exists, because I was really down and just needed something to feel better. And it was like a catch 22 because with meditation and mindfulness, you don't always feel better right away. Um, like there's a quote I love. I, I think it's from Gabor Mate. But it's like the only way out is through, and that's what mindfulness does. It gives us an opportunity to wade through what sucks, to wade through what hurts in a healthier and happier way, because we learn how to be with that difficulty in a non-attached and non-judgmental way. And even with grounding today, we may be going into that shelter, the example you used earlier, but it's not like we're running or hiding. We're simply placing ourselves in a place where we're more resourced, better equipped to deal with the situation. Just like how if we are fuming with anger, it may be better to take a walk, to take a breath, to try something so that we can be better equipped to deal with the situation. Doesn't mean we're resisting the anger or we're shaming ourselves for having it. We are simply noticing the state that we're in and using healthier and happier tools to make decisions based on that state. Thank you all so much for joining today's guided meditation. Great job today. And may you find ease. Well, that concludes our guided meditation for the day. Thank you all oh, any updates or announcements? Oh, yes, a big one. I got accepted into Core Power Yoga's BIPOC teacher training program. So we've been talking about how the Joy Gym is going to offer meditation or offers meditation, yoga, and mindfulness. Up until this point, it's been laughter yoga, but now we'll have a more traditional form of yoga, which actually gets me really excited because I truly believe that that mix between coaching, meditation, and yoga will really come together to help make the Joy Gym what I really want it to be. And kind of like the quote on my LinkedIn and YouTube from Michael Chender, believe it says, "This is the place where you can bring your fear, your pain, and your brokenness." And I just, I know when I had all those things, had, like I don't still have them, but um, there were times where meditation for me just wasn't enough because, I deal with PTSD. So there were times where meditation triggered it. So the fact that we can get yoga in there now, so no matter like what state you're in or how you're feeling, we can have some sort of practices to help. It's going to be super, super nice. Plus, I've been thinking a lot about the question of who do I want to grow into? And I really want to grow into a trauma sensitive uh, mindfulness teacher, trauma sensitive coach, trauma sensitive yoga instructor. Because I've seen how much it can really hurt and derail someone's life. But I've also seen how much we can grow from it as humans. And I never want to inflict trauma on anyone, but I do. I would love if more and more people could experience the transformative power that can happen from trauma. Again, not trying to dismiss or belittle anyone's experience with it, but whew, when I just look at who I am or how I've grown, especially where I was in terms of trauma, it's insane. And while I think there is a large amount of privilege that has helped me to get here, I think that more people at scale should really be able to experience it. That's why we have the Joy Gym. So we are one step closer to my ultimate goal. But yeah, that's everything we have for the day. As always, thank you all so much for coming. And as always, I'll make sure you follow us on LinkedIn or subscribe to us on YouTube. We really appreciate all the support you can have. We stream this on LinkedIn Live and YouTube. And we also do this on Clubhouse at the same time. So you have many different options to interact with us if you'd want. So thank you all so much for coming. I love y'all. May you find ease.